Hey, welcome back to another episode of the MindShare Podcast. This show is sponsored by Kids Keep in Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals. REM, a real estate magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. And the ORCF, the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation, enabling and empowering realtors across Ontario to fundraise and support of shelter-related causes in the communities in which they live and work. You can learn more about all of our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare to get more market share. Plus, learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Now, once again, just before we get into today's show, I'd like to ask you for your support. On September 12th, I'm going to be joining an awesome group of people at the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation, along with realtors from across the province on the Motorcycle Ride for Charity. We're riding in support of shelter-related causes in the communities in which we live and work. And as we all know, shelter continues to be an ongoing challenge for so many out there. And as soon as I heard about why this ride was in place, I needed to get involved and be part of it. This year will mark our second year on the ride, and I'm working to raise as much awareness and money as we can over these coming weeks. The ORCF does a lot of fantastic work organizing events to raise money, raise awareness, and they as well support many of our realtors who host their own events. So together, our industry can continue to give back. I'd like to ask you, please go to www.realtorscareontario.ca, click on Pledge a Rider, find my name, and make a donation. Big or small, any support you can provide will certainly go a long way. I sincerely thank you in advance. Today's episode is number 298. He's a seasoned real estate agent with 19 years of experience, and within those years, he has worn many hats, including assistant manager, mentor, and trainer. He's also recently started a coaching business to share his expertise with other agents to help them excel in their businesses. All this while emphasizing the importance of work-life balance. Joining me on this episode of the MindShare Podcast is realtor and good friend, Todd Skoby. Todd, welcome to the MindShare Podcast.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, my man?
Great to see you, man. It's been way too long.
Okay, hold on. Dude, like 19 years. Are you sure about this?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So June 05, I got licensed. And yeah, I met you 2 years later, I believe. If
Wow.
that. Yeah. I went to in Calgary, the CREB Forecast, Calgary Real Estate Board, the forecast and trade show. And I don't know if you know this, but I went there looking to spend money on marketing, and I didn't know what I was going to spend money on. And then I met you and your dad.
Oh my God, man, that was a long time ago.
You had the disc with you that said "Get Around to It" on it.
Those wooden discs, you remember that?
Never forget. Yeah.
Dude, that was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, you had me at "Get Around to It."
Yeah, that's all it took, eh?
And yeah, man, that we've been together ever since, right?
Holy jeez. And interestingly enough, we both decided to change the color of our beards together.
Mm-hmm. So let's wear black shirts and gray beards today.
What happened? What happened, man?
Well, you get better looking with age. That's what happened.
Oh man, this is wild. It's crazy. Well, listen, man, I'm excited to get into this topic with you. Mastering work-life balance without sacrificing income. You know, this is something that I talk to a whole bunch with a lot of our clients and helping people really enjoy, right? I think so many people, especially in today's world, especially with the smartphones, we get caught up, we get distracted, we get consumed, and we lose the focus on what it is like we truly want. And I think what everybody wants, and I might be wrong, you could say everybody wants money, but it's like money to do what? Well, to enjoy life. So ultimately it's really people want to enjoy life, but we get so caught up like working, we forget to enjoy life.
Yep.
So I want to dive into that, but I do want to ask, 19 years in the biz, what were you doing just before that?
Do you actually know?
Oh, man.
I was okay. So I'm from Toronto.
Yeah, I know that.
I took marketing at college in Toronto and struggling to get hired as marketing manager because I had the knowledge, but I didn't have the experience. So I kept losing out. And one of my best friends, to this day still, he moved to Calgary first, and he worked at WestJet. And I was coming to visit him for a week.
Yeah, I remember now.
So he said, you should apply to be a flight attendant.
That's right.
And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be a flight attendant. And I came out, I interviewed for fun and for more interview experience. And that was a Friday. And I had another interview Monday, and I flew home Tuesday. I got called Thursday. I was hired, drove the car Saturday. I grabbed a friend. We drove straight in my 92 Volkswagen Golf. Saturday, got in Monday night, got the apartment across the hall from him, like Seinfeld Kramer.
Yeah.
Monday, and started training Wednesday.
Wow.
And then 3 months in, met my wife, Tara, of now 21 years. So that I'll be out for 1 year turned into, I flew for 5.5, and I've been in Calgary since April 01.
Buddy, I know getting the opportunity every time I come out to Calgary to sit down and hang out with you for a little bit. It's been a little too long for sure since we've done that.
Yep.
Please definitely say what's up to Tara and the kids. It's been a while, man. But let me ask you, at the time, like from doing the whole idea of doing the flight attendant and really, why you got into that, what was the challenge at the time, or why the pivot into real estate?
The big challenge was always leaving home.
Okay.
We were young, got married, wanted to have kids, knew we wanted to have kids. And I'm the guy that, just like you, wants to actually be with my kids.
Yeah.
I fight for that. So I knew flying was leaving all the time. Tara became a team leader, so she was home and I became the one packing the bag all the time, and that got tired real quick. So I actually had a friend show me in Tara a house one night, and I remember exactly where this happened on, it's called McKnight Trail. It's a road out in the Northeast, and we're driving home, and she says, Andrew's he's going to be really good as a realtor. He's got this and this and this. And I'm driving, and I went, well, I have those things. Wait a minute.
Was that the simplicities of it? I got this first.
He's
Talk
better
about me, not him.
Yeah, I got most of these things. I'm like, I could do that. And that was in like February. And then June, I got licensed. So I'm always looking, like, what am I doing next? Like, I'm always thinking, like, what can I be doing more of? How do I improve and do stuff? And I wanted to get out of flying, and I just didn't know what it was yet. And with my marketing background, I don't know if you know this, I started a clothing company as well while I was flying. So I had a skateboard, snowboard clothing. Yeah, called Skoby Clothing. We were in a few stores in Calgary and Airdrie, way before social media hit, so it was different then.
For sure.
So then at that point, I'm flying, I'm doing clothing, and I got licensed. And something had to give, so I gave up the clothing thing. And then as I overlapped a year with flying and selling, I got up and running real quick, just purely based off the amazing support from pilots, flight attendants, and other people at WestJet helping me. So yeah.
So you're making a big transition in life, recognizing that family is super important, realizing that there's a little bit of a challenge here with what you are currently doing.
Yeah.
You decide to take a jump into something that's brand new.
Yep.
You've got a bunch of characteristics for it. Let me pause there for a moment and ask you, so what does the word greatness mean to you?
Never heard it.
Yeah.
It means so much that it's now tattooed on my arm.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? There.
Yeah.
I have a bit of a regret of where I put it on my body, because all you can see with a t-shirt is the word greatness. So I have this little thought that, do people think I posted greatness on my body because I think I'm so great? Like, so I have a bit of a thing with that.
I gotta tell you though, that's the problem with tattoos. Is like once they're on, you're like, oh shit, I should have like turned it a little bit. It's like I got one that like he's looking the wrong way, and like the other two are looking this way, but this guy's looking that way. And at first it was a great idea until it goes on. You're like, all I see is the back of his head. I can't actually see anything.
Yeah. They're I don't know about you, but my tattoos are for me. I want to be able to see them. Yeah. I spent money on them. I want to see them.
Totally.
So yeah, so greatness started in my daughter's now going into grade 11. She was in kindergarten, and she had to read 2 sentences in front of her whole school in the gym. And we talked a lot. we used to watch a lot of YouTube videos on motivational things. I used to iPad with her in bed, and just that's what we would do. And I started using her greatness. And I said, if you can still stand up in front of those people on stage and do that thing scared, that's greatness. So much so that I took it and tattooed it on my body. So it's a constant reminder in our house. And to this day, even if my sleeve's covered and if I just kind of go like this and scan over, the girls know what I mean when I scan greatness. It's become something that has made me do things scared, right? I've mentioned to you in the past where the whole reason I teach at my brokerage is the owner asked me one day, he said, do you want to teach some classes? And I went, yes, of course I do, but no. My very first class I had to teach, that tooth was pulled the week before.
No.
So now I'm standing in front of a bunch of people teaching with like a big gap. And first 5 seconds, I said, let's get this out of the way. Yeah. Nobody else noticed but me. But
you know Simon Sinek?
Yep.
Find Your Why.
Find Your Why. Yep.
So I'm in, I think it was New York. And I was in the green room and about to take the stage, and Simon's there, and he was like coming on later, and I just said, what's up? And we started talking, and I said, like, I got to ask you a question. He says, yeah. I said, do you still get nervous when you get up on stage?
Yep.
And he put his hand on my shoulder. He goes, David, if you don't get nervous, it means you don't care enough.
Yep.
And it was like this like sigh of relief came through me, because I thought, okay, because I know I'm really good at what I do. I mean,
yeah.
I think so.
You're great.
I think so. But it's like, you get up there and you still got these butterflies. And this comes back to the thing about the fear and the greatness, right? You come back, you got these butterflies, and it's like, this is normal. This is actually, you sort of should feel this way. And
good thing.
What I really took from it was like, it means you care.
Yeah.
And now you translate, or I take that and I try to channel it differently. I channel it into adrenaline. I channel it into excitement.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell myself. I go, you're not nervous. You're pumped. You're excited. Yeah. You've been through this so many times. You've always come out on the other side going, well, I think I did pretty well. And then people say like, hey, you did a great job. And it's not that everybody always loves you, but it's like you didn't bomb. You didn't forget what you're going to say and fall off the stage kind of thing. And it's channeling the nerves, and it's the you can do it. It's the greatness.
So here's the interesting thing. You get on stage, you come off, and you think, oh, I forgot to say this thing I screwed up.
All the time.
But nobody in the audience knew that.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody else knows what you didn't plan to speak about. Right? There's no agenda that was up on the screen and you forgot the last 2 points. Everybody thinks you stopped where you wanted to stop and you killed it. But in your mind, oh, I screwed something up.
Always, right? Man. I'll always come off and be like, I forgot to say that. But
you're not trying to do better though, right?
Was that?
You didn't come off and review that and feel like, oh, I missed that. Then you're not actually trying to do better. You're just.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, there's always, listen, you can always get better. Here, speaking of learning, let's go back to the real estate thing. Yeah. You transition into that.
Yeah.
What did you learn really quickly when you got in? Like, what was sort of like this, like, you're smiling, go for it. Oh, buddy,
I knew I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
I had amazing support at my first brokerage where you'd literally, you'd write an offer for someone and I'd call my broker and say, okay, I did this. What do I do next? And he'd tell me, and I'd call him. I said, okay, I did it. Now what?
Yeah.
Like literally you get taught how to not get sued, which is amazing. But the day-to-day actual job, that doesn't get really taught. At least it wasn't, right? So
experience, right?
Yeah, and that's something that we've focused a whole lot on at brokerage I'm at now at CIR in Calgary, where we're known for our training programs.
Right.
We teach you how to actually now what, right? Before you need to do that. So get you up.
But it's experience though, right? It's like it's going through it. It's working with people. It's fucking up.
Yeah.
And then going, what did I learn from that? And can I come back from it and get better?
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and I think that people are too focused all the time on like perfection and trying to be the best and trying to like be flawless. And it's,
No.
I mean, good luck with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, everybody's got a different definition of what perfection is and what flawless might be and whether you did it amazing. You did like, well, like we just said, you walk off stage, you're like, damn, I forgot this thing. And everybody else is like clapping. They're like, oh, that was awesome. You're like, well, I guess we saw that in two different ways. You know what I mean? And like, cool, right?
Who's our biggest critic though?
The person in the mirror.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, right, we're going to be the hardest on ourselves, so we're going to try the hardest to achieve better, which is greatness. Right.
So what was the first thing when you got into real estate? Because again, we're going back 19 years here, and I don't say that to be funny, but I say
it's a while
back. You've been around, like you've done it, and I know hanging with you, like you know the city like the back of your hand, you know the back of your hand, like you know where you're going, you know what's going on, you understand the market. You're obviously teaching, you're training, you've been doing that for a long time. I know as well. You're successful yourself, you know, but then. Back then, what was the first thing that you did to really get your business off the ground when you first got in?
I think it was support. The two things were like support with the brokerage, and I was very fortunate with the people that knew me at WestJet. So we talk a lot about you work with people that know, like, and trust you, right? So when I was a flight attendant, I knew so many people that I was fortunate. They knew me, they liked me, they trusted me.
Yeah.
So the minute they find out you're a realtor, they automatically want to work with you and support you, right? I always say to people, don't be the world's greatest secret agent, right?
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah. So tell everybody what you're doing and run with it. So back then, there was no social media. Back then, there was no iPhone. Like all this stuff is so new to us as tech goes that didn't exist. So it was all word of mouth. It was all a database. It was adding people into this database system that you knew. And that's what catapulted me was my people. And then lucky enough, I was at a forecast in about 2007 and I found a guy and his dad who had a really great system for me to add to my business. That's been my lifeline ever since.
Appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you, man.
But I have never not been with you since then. And I've always sworn by, if I'm ever cutting anything out of my marketing, it's not my newsletter, because that's the one constant in my business that works. And again, I've had people, I don't know if I told you this, I've had people phone me and say, I'm drinking coffee, reading your newsletter, wanted to tell you how much I like it.
That's amazing.
I'm like,
that's good to hear, buddy.
Job done, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's the people. That's what catapulted me in the beginning. It's still what catapults me now. It's my people. Like when you look at how you want to grow your business, I'm not the guy that wants to make phone calls. I'm not the guy that wants to door knock. I know those things work, but those aren't the pillars that I want to hang my business on.
Fair.
I'm the people. Right.
Fair. Okay. So do you remember your first deal?
I remember my second, I think.
Okay. You don't want to remember the first deal?
I actually don't remember my first deal.
Okay. All right. So okay, let's do this then. Where were the first deals with an S there? Yep. Where were they coming from? Database? Like the connections that you made through WestJet and just friends and everybody else?
So WestJet for sure. I know the first handful were pilots, flight attendants, and then the one that I do remember vividly is my mother-in-law's friend. So
how'd you get that deal? Just because it was your mother-in-law's friend, or?
Yeah, my mother-in-law. Well, we knew each other for a few years already at that point, and she trusted me to refer me to one of her close friends. So I helped her friend out at that point. And funny enough, I'm still doing business with that family to this day.
So awesome. And again, a lot of that comes back to keeping in touch and just building the rapport.
Yeah.
Not necessarily relying on all the online digital stuff.
Yep.
But just the real deal. Hey, how are you connecting with people?
Yep.
You see, like I go back in time, right? I go back in time and like, like I prior to opening up kits, like back in 06 or whatever it was, like my dad was in real estate for a long time.
Yeah.
And I go back to those times and think like, what were people doing then to make a living? And the reality is when you look at life today in the game, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned social, you mentioned the, the smartphone, like, yeah, we've got some other tools that are available to us. Yeah, we've got different ways to connect with people, But if you look at what truly, truly works to convert, like to build a relationship, open up an opportunity and convert an opportunity into a deal, dollars, it comes back to have a conversation with another human being.
Let me ask you this. As a realtor, do we actually have anything to sell?
No.
Do we have anything that we actually buy?
No.
So do we buy and sell real estate?
Nope.
Our business, or are we in a people business to help people buy and sell real estate?
Help people buy and sell real estate.
So when you start thinking that way and you start treating people right, the money comes. That's just secondary.
Yeah.
But the minute you realize, I don't actually have an inventory, I got nothing to sell, I got nothing to buy, but I'm helping people achieve these goals in their life.
Right.
And how do I help them, not sell them? That's a mindset difference. That's the change. I recently realized there's a book I'm reading that has this statement in it that talks about, I could say to you, I could have said to someone, oh, I have to do this podcast today.
Yeah.
Versus I get to do this podcast today.
Dude, look at that small change in the word, the verbiage that you used to tell yourself what it is. Right here, mentor of mine would say to me, it's not why did it happen to me, it's why did it happen for me. Right? Same idea. Yeah. Right? Very similar premise.
That's your change in your mindset. So I've had that mindset my whole career. How do I help people? That alone helps. You obviously, my car is above the Volkswagen. Yep. I got old Volkswagens. Been part of a Volkswagen club here, and I was sitting at one of the guys' kitchen table selling his house, and my words, thank you so much for calling me. I really appreciate it. And he went, well, of course, I trust you.
See,
like it wasn't even a question of tell me how your marketing plan is. What are you going to do for me? It's how much, where do we sign? Right.
So okay. So here's a question for you. Where did that mindset come from?
Growth. I've had a growth mindset way back from.
But would you say you were like that when you first started? Like it was like when you first got in, you were like, I've got to help people. Or were you like in a sales mode and then it transitioned through working?
Well, this might answer the same thing, because when I got into real estate, I was very conscious of the negative tones that people had against realtors.
Got it.
And I was
way back then, eh?
Yeah.
See that?
And I never wanted to feel salesy. I never wanted to be judged for doing this. And to this day, I'd always said this before I got licensed. If I have to jeopardize my own morals and ethics to get a deal done, I'm out. So I think I've always had that mindset that it's all about helping people, not about selling anybody anything. I don't like the thought of being salesy. I like the thought of being helpy, if that's a word.
Dude, I'm with you.
Right?
I'm with you, man. It's so true.
I've carried that my whole career, but it's escalated a lot, right? So as I got into teaching and managing and coaching, and that frame of mind has gone from just me, but to helping everybody else achieve the same thing, right? Why reinvent the wheel as a new realtor when I can help you, show you my wheel, right? So the mindset's always been there. It's not how do I sell somebody something, it's how do I help them. I quote Jerry Maguire when I teach all the time, the whole help me help you.
Yep.
Like things like that, man, like that is just it to me. How do I help you, right?
It's a great way to think and to live.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come back to that a little later in the show. I think that it's funny. It's going to find its way back here. But when we first started, what were the hours like at that time? I mean, how many hours a day / a week were you going?
I don't think you want me to answer that. I'm an anomaly. I didn't put in a whole bunch.
Okay.
But again, it's because of the people I already knew.
Right.
I've never been open house heavy, which I strongly believe that is a very good tool to generate business.
I agree. I do agree with it. I like the way you say that, though. I've never been there, but I'm going to say I do believe, right? Yeah. As we look at it, it certainly is, right?
Yeah.
And you're with people in front of people.
So the whole thing is, imagine sitting in one place and having people come to you to talk about real estate, right? That's that power of an open house, right? You're literally sitting a place, you hang up a flag, and people come to you to talk about houses.
Right.
That's that power of open houses. My flag is my database, right?
A golden goose in this business right there, eh?
Yeah, it just is. It always has been. So all the early days, what it was for me. Okay, well, 06, I got licensed. 05, sorry, I got licensed. In 08, my daughter was born, first one. So first couple of years were busy. And then I had a big focus on being there for her and then my other daughter 3 years later. So I've always been very driven to ensure my kids know me. And that sounds silly to say, but
no, it
need
very clearly makes a ton. I mean, I understand it clearly.
Yeah, it's like this whole topic of mastering work-life balance. I don't know if you wrote it for me or not, but it's my thing. Like it's
totally did. Like, but
totally me, right?
But I look at it the same way though, Todd. Like I'm very transparently, and this is like, always keeping in mind, I know I'm not just speaking with you at this point here today. This past week, okay, so we, mind you, I we're this is going to syndicate in a couple weeks, but we came off of a baseball regular season. We lost in Game 7, and that was on a Sunday.
Yeah,
and I retired from coaching baseball after 7 years of rep baseball, and the love I've got for it. Anybody that's tuned in and knows me is like, knows what that means, right? And Monday it was like, all right, I mean, it's work time. There is no lamenting and, feeling sorry for anything. You transition. But I will say that I set up my desk in the backyard. And as I went out there at about 7:00 in the morning, somebody had a fire going. I could smell it in the air. So within about 30 minutes, I also became a somebody who had a fire going. And so here I was on Monday morning with a fire going in the backyard. I had my desk set up. I was doing everything I normally do on Mondays.
Yeah.
But I had a fire going, and it was a beautiful day, and sitting by the trees, and the birds were chirping, and the sounds all woo, woo, woo. But the reality was the calmness, the stillness, the focus, that parlayed right into Tuesday. Now, it wasn't that I stayed out there all night, partying or anything. Like, no, not at all. There's still a lot to do. It's just that, again, into Tuesday. And I bring this up because the kids are home. They're inside. They come outside. They say, what's up? They know dad's working. So, can't just sit there and hang out all day. But it is that opportunity to go, in some sense of the word or words, there was a lot of work-life balance right there. Right. I was literally doing what I would always want to be doing on a weekend up at a cottage. And usually you might have your smartphone with you, but I will say very specifically, and it's important to state this, when I'm up at the cottage and I'm doing the family time, the smartphone is in the pocket. Right. Or maybe it's back up on the table or something. It's not with me. I'm not focused on it. And I will consciously, like if we're sitting around on the boat or on the dock, and all of a sudden the water's in front of you, and it's like a gorgeous day, and all of a sudden you catch yourself looking at your phone. It's like I'm about to launch the thing in the lake because I get mad at myself for it. Because again, where's the work-life balance?
It's habitual.
It so is, but I do believe though that achieving or working to achieve work-life balance, you have to get that under control.
Okay, so I'm gonna interview you for a second. I'm gonna ask you, where do you put your phone to charge at night?
I'm bad. I do have it on the nightstand, but I will say to you this, okay? And I know where you're going with that. I'm pretty certain I know where you're going with that. I will tell you this. I will usually start the day at about 6 a.m. The phone doesn't get picked up till about 7:30. I've now reviewed my goals by that time. I've journaled by that time. I've made coffee. I've literally gone outside and it sounds again very whatever, but listen to the birds chirp, feel the temperature. I want to see what the air's like. I will get myself together. And if I find myself going for that phone, I will consciously pull myself away from it.
Great.
Nighttime, that phone will go down. So again, through this process of mapping, which we teach our clients around scheduling and creating this balance in life, right? Like my calendar today from 5 p.m. to 7:30, Leah's soccer. 7:30 to 10:30, hockey. And they're blocked. What don't they say? They don't say social media. They don't say email. They don't say phone calls. They don't say work. Their life.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're enjoyment. So at nighttime as well, there's a very rigid kind of way that I operate, that the phone, if I go to grab it and I find myself do that, I will open up, let's say, finance and I'll read something, or
Yeah.
I'll open up sports and I'll read something. I will not go to the TikToks and the Instagrams. And I'm very, very rigid at that. So I will tell you again, from the whole thing of like, where's the phone?
Yeah.
I've created some serious boundaries for myself, and trust me, it's not easy.
Nope.
Because again, habitual, people will pick it up. That's something that I've been very specific about. So where do you keep your phone?
In the kitchen.
Downstairs.
Yeah. Caveat, as long as I'm not in the middle of a deal.
Yep.
I've looked at what do I want my hours to be as a realtor, right? So I will consciously not reply to anything before 9 a.m. That's the thing. I'll literally sit there with my phone and watch till 9:01 to reply to anything. That morning time is me. It's mine. It's my kids. My wife goes to work. I'm there in the morning with the girls, and I drive one of them to school and I see the other one off. And I think because I do that, the career is a choice for that reason, to have that luxury of that time in the morning with them. If I start working during the time I've put aside to be with them, what's the message I'm giving them?
That's right.
So I'm very conscious of keeping that time sacred. So morning.
They both have phones.
They both have phones. I don't care if they're on their phones though. If they want,
but it's funny. Like when I notice that they're on their phones,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden for some reason I go to pick up my phone, I won't necessarily tell them to get off theirs, but I will put mine down.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm not on my phone when
I
they're
know
getting ready in the
we're
morning.
both business people.
Yeah, I'm just not doing work. I'm not doing any work before 9 a.m. Right? That like I specifically last year was driving Ella to school, and my phone rang before 9, and I knew who it was, and it wasn't an emergency, and my gut was to answer it, and I stopped myself and thought to myself, I'm 10 minutes away from getting to her to school. So if I answer it now, I'm taking away 10 minutes of our time. And what's that message to her? Even if we sit in silence for that time, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, that's still our time to do whatever the heck we want together, not dad's time to start work. Because the minute I drop her off, I can start working. Right?
So you know what I did? I've got, should I tell you about the morning routine?
Yeah. Let me just answer my night thing.
Sorry, go for it. Yeah. Forgive me.
Yeah, caveat to the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
If you're in the deal, I definitely don't put my phone down, but I look around that 9 p.m. mark again, so 9 till 9. And there's something freeing for me about taking my phone and putting it on silent on that little thing, charging it, putting it upside down beside the fridge and walking away. And people argue to me all the time, well, what do you do for an alarm clock? I need my alarm. Well, I have an alarm clock. Like
whoa, hold on. Explain that one more.
Hold your hats for a second. I have an alarm clock, and it does all the magical things that an alarm clock needs to do in the morning. And I still successfully get up, and my phone's downstairs, and it's still waiting for me, and I can still go on with my day. So it's a thing.
Dude, you know what? I've actually, when the kids are going to school, like obviously they're not in school at the moment, but when they are, that morning routine's actually adjusted, and there's a 90-minute block time that specifically in the calendar says kids.
Right.
And again, it's like people are like, you have to schedule that time. I'm like, no, I consciously schedule it so that I can consciously tell my subconscious that's what you're supposed to be doing right now. So even if you feel the desire, the need to pick something up or distract, no. Yeah. It's like being in a listing presentation. It's like being on a podcast right now. This is where I'm at.
Yes.
Right. So when I'm with my kids, why would I treat it any differently? Yeah. If I'm on the ice playing hockey, am I looking at the phone? No. If I'm coaching baseball, am I looking? No. So treat it the same way.
Yeah.
And it's just a conscious thought on that, right?
Something you said, someone says, do you have to consciously time block that? You're thinking, no, I get to consciously time block that.
There you go. I love that.
Like,
right. Yeah, I love that. Well, it was like my, the trainer at hockey one day, he's like, so, cause I was just bitching and complaining about people that show up late and like, how do you constantly always show up late? He's like, well, people are busy. I'm like, what? Like how is that an excuse? Because, well, the kids don't drive themselves. Like, I get it. So the adults who are even more responsible. And yes, to those of you that I coach at hockey, if you are listening, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
How do you like that one?
Right.
But seriously speaking, right? Like it's and he's like, he's like, you're so rigid with your schedule. I'm like, yeah. Do you see me show up late? He's like, no. So I show up on time, right? He goes, yeah. I said, then I'm prepared. He goes, yeah. I said, so what's wrong with that? He goes, nothing. He goes, but do you schedule everything? I'm like, everything.
Yeah.
He goes, even going to the washroom. I'm like, fine. That's probably the only thing I don't schedule. He goes, but what about the small things? And forgive me, audience, if you've heard me tell this story before, but what about the small things? I'm like, well, like what? He goes, well, like, I don't know, run into the store. I'm like, oh, what did you run into the store for? He goes, just like, I don't know, groceries, milk, eggs. I'm like, okay. And just curious, what are the milk and eggs for? He's like, well, to like put in the fridge. I go, for what? He goes, like, to feed the family. I'm like, uh-huh. He goes, what? I said, you just told me that there were small things. He goes, yeah. I said, so we're saying that feeding your family is a small thing? And he just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I go, put it in perspective.
Yep.
Okay. The person you had to train today, to you, that was like priority number one. Well, what about the time with your kids? What about the milk and the eggs?
Yep.
What? No?
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Do you, as we talk about this work-life balance stuff,
yeah,
do you find that with being so rigid to the way you operate, let's say the 9 to 9 and the unless the house is burning down kind of thing, we're not looking at it at certain times, like whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you find you sacrifice dollars at the same time?
Possibly.
Okay, cool. Actually, I like that answer. Interesting.
Can I expand on that?
Yeah, no, totally. Because it's like you could have totally been like, no, not at all.
No, I think
you could have totally been like, well, yeah, for sure. But in this case, it's like possibly. And what I'm taking from it is, I almost don't give a shit because I'm spending time with my family.
Honestly, like I get goosebumps when I'm saying possibly because it's dear to me. I've always been the realtor that has said I'd rather make less to have my definition of success in my life. My definition of success is different from yours, and it's different from everybody else, right? So some define their success as how much money can I make in a year, where back to my definition of success is, does my wife still know me, and do my kids know me, and do I have time for dogs? Because that's my thing. So one time I was teaching a class, and one of our agents out of that class became crazy successful at our office, like off the hook, super successful guy. And he was talking to me and he goes, why do you teach this class when you could not teach it, sell real estate? And he stopped himself. And I said, what, make more money? And he goes, yeah. I said, because I really love helping people buy and sell houses, but this is my passion. Like, teaching is my thing. And if I'm going to make less money to be happier about what I'm passionate about, that's worth it to me. Right. I don't need the bigger car and make money and spend more and make money and spend more. I'm happy with those old things up there that are hopefully gets me to A and B, and I love that.
And for those of you that can't see what he's pointing to, listening to they're listening to the audio. You've got like some old Volkswagens that are like mint condition. They look amazing, but you're a collector of these things.
A 69 Beetle, 74 bus.
So sick. Yeah.
And I drive them daily. And a part of that is because I am able to.
Yep.
Right. So
love that.
My work-life balance is a part of all of those pieces. Right. So yeah, go on.
What like, okay. Okay, common issue in the industry. People go book a vacation, and all of a sudden they get busy. And then they decide maybe they're not going to take the vacation. How do you manage taking the vacation, achieving the life balance, without or getting the work done without sacrificing life?
You need to plan your holiday as a non-negotiable and take that trip. And you need to have somebody else watching your business while you're gone. And that person should be able to handle any real estate thing that comes up, because there's no real estate emergency that another qualified agent can't help you with. Align your database, your clients with another realtor who's like-minded like you, so they're similar.
Yep.
Who would you hire to be a realtor? Have that person in your corner and trade off. If you go on holidays, you help them, they help you, vice versa. I might get hate for this, but I don't like seeing realtors brag about doing a deal on the beach in Mexico. If you want to do that, that's completely fine, cool, I get it. But in my world, if I'm on the beach in Mexico, the last thing I want to be doing is spending a whole bunch of money on that trip and working. Because there's my wife and my kids doing something over here and I'm not there. And you think it's a quick thing, but it takes you out of the game for a couple of days. And I'd rather pay somebody else to help me in my business and have my time with my family. This is crazy. I leave my cell phone at home when I go on holiday.
Whoa.
So I literally change voicemail night before. I turn it off, put it in a drawer, and I have another realtor take care of my business while I'm gone.
Wow. I'm sure there's a lot of people that just their jaws just hit the floor on that.
And you can do it, and it's the scariest thing in the world. I fully get it. It's not for everybody. There's another way to go. Take your phone, leave it off, keep it in the safe in your room, check it once a day. I've done that too, where leave it in that safe because you can try to plan a holiday in a slower part of the year, which sets you up for more success. That when you're gone, there may not be a whole lot of real estate happening. But if you're going to go on a holiday during busier times, I get that because you have this thing in the back of your mind, worried, scared, are you missing something? The strategy for that I've used and been good at is bring the phone, leave it in the safe every day after pool time, check it at between 4 to 5, deal with it for an hour, put it back, go on with your holiday. Right. So that takes the stress away of the fear of what am I missing out on? And I fully respect that because I've done that too.
Okay, let's say, and I love that. That's a great point. I double down on that for sure. What about if you're, going for dinner with the family and all of a sudden, a potential client calls you? How do you manage that?
Only if it's an offer would I be dealing with it during that time. I believe if you've created your business properly, clients aren't going to go to another realtor because you didn't answer your phone.
I was just about to say this to you, like the suggestion when it comes to actually saying no, when it comes to truly owning and being in control of your time. I guess that's exactly where you're going right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's voicemail for a reason. There's call display for a reason. There's text. Like if you and I are on this podcast and I go, hang on real quick, my client's calling me, I just got to take this. What does that say to you? Right? And can that, in what world can't something wait an hour?
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm going to be out for dinner, spending good money on dinner these days, we know what food costs. Why would I want to interrupt that? Call it appointment in your time blocking. Why would I interrupt that for something else that could wait an hour? Right. If you run it properly, they're going to wait for you. Like, you ever call your doctor and try to set an appointment? And if you can't get in today,
it's so true.
You call another doctor? Or do you book an appointment and wait for your doctor? And why do we wait for our doctor? Like, what would be that reason?
Trust, rapport,
you already have
professionalism,
right?
Yeah.
Like you're already in. So if someone's in with you and they have you as their trusted advisor, they're going to wait for you, right? And I'm not saying wait 5 days and call them back.
No, yeah, but I get it. I said this to a set of clients the other day. Reluctant to go on vacation, didn't go on vacation for the long weekend because they had a buyer that was driving them crazy. I said, like, you skipped your vacation because of the buyer? They're like, well, I'm like, look, I get you want the deal, but we do have to set boundaries.
Yeah.
Now, wearing hats comes with a lot of obviously different responsibility. And as we talk about this work-life balance and the management of it, and I kind of share with you, like I actually calendar block, like I actually go into the calendar and I block time. And if it says kids, that's what I'm doing. And sometimes you find yourself and you're like, I'm supposed to be writing or something. And all of a sudden, like I find myself picking up my phone. I look back to the calendar. It's like, no, dude, you're supposed to be writing, but I don't want to write. Well, too bad. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Go do it.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess, how do you manage your days? Like, are you a time blocker? Are you a rigid calendar guy? Is it, I'm just curious, like what, I guess some like actionable tactics.
Yeah. So I am a time block guy.
Okay, cool.
For everybody who doesn't even know what time blocking is or what to do with it, it's planning your week, right? It's planning those activities that make you money. It's tracking the activities that made you money. For us, it's systems development and it's role playing and it's all that stuff. Right. But then I also block in health. So yeah, block in your fitness, block in your family life in the same calendar. Where do you do it? I use Google. I use my Gmail calendar. My wife and I share a calendar. So anything we both put in, we both see. So that keeps us straight with who's picking up who and when, and what is Todd doing for work. Right. So I review that stuff every day. I'm going to block that in Sunday for the week coming. But I was joking last week about when do you check your calendar? Well, what time is it? Because I should have checked it 3 minutes ago. Like
that, but I live and die by it.
Yeah.
Minute by minute in the day, it's open at all times.
Yep.
And like, where am I going? Like I just said, if I realize I am procrastinating, and we all do it, we're human, but I realize I'm procrastinating, or I'm just off, or maybe I'm just physically running slow today.
Yeah.
That guide, that navigation, that roadmap will tell me exactly where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there and where I'm going. As long as I follow it, no matter how I'm feeling,
yeah,
it'll be my accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be my support system. It'll be my eyes, right? It'll be the reference point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything. And I think that so many people struggle doing it just because of the little bit of effort it takes to do it.
It's a lifeline.
It totally.
And here's something: being busy and being effective are two different things, right? So if I sat down and my wife says, what are you doing today for work? And I say, well, I'm going to do real estate. And then I sit down at my desk and I'm looking at my tabs at the top, and I've got Gmail, my calendar, and Amazon's open because somebody ordered something. I'm looking at it now, and there's Facebook open and Instagram. And I start clicking all these things and I'm doing everything. And I was like, well, that was a busy day, but was I effective? So being busy and being effective are two different things. So being effective is creating a time blocking calendar to do things on purpose, not on accident. That's how you achieve your success. That's how I can be successful at work-life balance and have both, because I'm deliberate.
So what are some of those non-negotiables that are in the day then? Like for me, again, it includes reviewing, which means to me, goals and journaling. It includes reading. It includes working out like daily. You know, it obviously is going to include sports at a time. It's going to include time with kids. And then people are like, well, dude, when do you do work? I'm like, that's where the other hours are.
Yeah.
And now there's certain things I do. So like, what are your non-negotiables?
Database.
For both.
Okay. Anything that's related to my kids that I've committed to are non-negotiable. I've had, my girls used to play soccer when they were younger. And I specifically remember being in a buyer interview meeting at my office. First time meeting new clients, I signed a buyer brokerage agreement, did all the paperwork, and said, and if it's okay with you, it would be really great if I didn't show you houses Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 because my girls play soccer. And they went, well, we just won't look at houses on those 2 days then. No problem. Right? Versus, hey, Todd, this house came up. We kind of maybe sort of want to see, can we go see it Tuesday at 7? And I drop my personal life to go show a house that doesn't even fit their criteria.
Yeah.
So why not balance that properly and say, well, I can't show you from 6 to 7, but I can meet you at 7:30. So now I can still go to soccer and still successfully show the house and be successful in both parts of my life. That's what I focus on. I don't just focus on just work or just life when I look at my time blocking. I got to have them both in there. Got to have them both.
So give me some non-negotiables for work. Like when we say, okay, it's work time.
Yep.
What are those income producing activities that you really hone in on like daily? Like, and curious, maybe how much time in your day do you spend on that stuff?
Yeah. So we call those marketing pillars, right?
Okay.
The foundation of your business, what holds up your business. Like you gotta have a base, your foundation to build your house on. I guess it's an interesting analogy for real estate.
Yep.
So what are those pillars that your real estate business is built on top of, right? So to me, there's a million ways to do this, but to me, having your database is one of my biggest pillars, because those are my people, right?
Right.
Past clients, friends, family, future clients, those are in the database. Reaching out to them daily is important.
How much time are you spending on that? Like, do you put it in the calendar and say, I'm going to spend 30 minutes, I'm going to spend 120 minutes? Like, is there a hard block that goes, hey, this is when you're doing it, and when you're done, you kind of go, hey, I did it?
2 to 4 hours a day.
Okay.
Depending. New people, I would recommend closer to 4. Seasoned agents, 2 would probably do it if you're successfully staying in touch with your old database. Right? So plan that in a time of day where you know you're not doing those working in your business activities. Right? So put that in on a Monday morning from 9 till 11, because who's showing houses Monday 9 till 11? Right? So planning all those income generating activities, that works out in the morning mostly. And then you have time in the afternoon or evenings, mostly evenings, weekends, to be working in your business with your clients. So things like your database, to me, networking is big. I'd rather go and meet 5 people for coffee or lunch during the week than door knocking, because that's not my thing. So my pillars are different. A pillar for me is social media. I'd rather be spending time engaging on social media in posting things of value, work and personal, all in the same place, because we agreed that real estate is a people business. So people are hiring a human being, and I believe they hire the same guy who drives Volkswagens as the same guy who dresses a little bit nicer and speaks a little bit more professional at a meeting. So they're hiring that same person that blends together, right? So I spend that time on social, making sure people know who I am as a whole person, not just sold. Nobody wants that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to tell better stories about what we're posting and make those things compelling enough for everybody to watch. So that's what I spend my time on.
You said, and throughout today's show, newsletters,
Yeah,
to the database,
that's my non-negotiable.
phone calls to the database,
Mm-hmm.
getting together with people in the database,
Yeah,
connecting with people on social media, which would include a lot of obviously people that are in the database. And then obviously it does give you the opportunity for the new people that are there.
yes. See a trend?
Yeah, but listen, absolutely. And I bullet pointed that because again, I think that a lot of people get caught up in the, well, I think I'm going to go buy some online lead gen. And I think that I'm going to, run some Facebook ads. And you're like, you're missing the point here. You can't just like pay for it, set it and forget it and think it's going to bring you the riches you want in this business. It doesn't work like that for anybody.
Online lead gen does work. But that you wanted to have started about 10 years ago or so to be one of the big players out there, especially in Canada.
Right.
Right. So that
but then there's also a whole support mechanism and then more time blocking around the follow-up and the conversion and you know what I mean? Like there's a process you need for that stuff.
100%.
Right.
As a realtor that's wanting to do things cost effectively and being successful at it, I think we have so many tools available to us that's very close to $0 to spend that you can be successful at, right?
So you've gone through your entire day, and I guess the question is, how do you know when enough is enough? Like you've done enough in your day, you've put enough effort into your business, and that ultimately you're not really stressing about money and have that ability to spend more time with family. Like how do you know? Is it look at the calendar and I've done everything I had to do? I'm done.
Typically, it's when my daughter walks through the door at 3:00 every day during school. Cool. I know I'm done for that hour or so.
Yeah.
I've actually given a buddy shit for calling me in Toronto, driving home from work, his 5:30, my 3:30. Like, dude, I'm never going to answer your call when my kid walks through that door. Yeah. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's our time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to take a call from you because you're driving home and I'm going to pass the time with you when she's 13 and needs me.
They're the best people in the world, these kids.
Yeah.
So what would you say to anybody who says it's impossible? Sorry, forgive me. Finish that one. It threw me off the kids. I sort of pictured my kids walking in like, it's the best.
Right? I know. The easy answer is if you're done all your tasks that you time blocked in the day, you're done. Right?
That's where I'm at. And I'll tell you that for me, I find is a difficult transition time in my day.
Yeah.
Because I know that everything's scheduled the way it needs to be in the schedule. And I know what I'm doing is very, very effective and productive in my day.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden it's like you get to that moment in your day where, again, I know the kids are coming in or whatever it be, and I go, boom, transition time.
Yep.
And again, this comes right back to it where now I transition to the kids and it's like, whoa, I still got stuff to do. And I look at the calendar, I'm like, no, I don't. I did it all. Okay, we're good. Now we go and enjoy. And like there for me is the big thing when it comes to work-life balance of like, breathe, look at the calendar, you did it. Yeah, but you feel like there's more to do. Yeah, but you did what you needed to do. Go.
Okay, as a realtor, people post on their Google business page, I'm open 24/7. Always open.
Yeah.
It's a movie, Boondock Saints. You remember that movie?
Yeah, I do.
They used to say in that, we're like 7-Eleven. We're not always doing business, but we're always open.
Yeah.
And that's what realtors, I think, trip up on, is that we always say we're always available all the time, and that's how you burn out. So if you could give yourself these times, but then when you think you're done your day for time blocking, you are. But I'd argue evenings and weekends, you become more reactive because the phone rings evenings and weekends, right? So those times at night, you're still servicing clients, just in a different way, right? You're now talking to the people that are actively in your database that are with you, not people that are just part of your CRM. So there's times for all that. And obviously we know it's going to happen. There's going to be busy weekends. There's going to be busy evenings. And and I'm here to tell everybody it's okay to watch Netflix from 1 till 3 on a Tuesday afternoon. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. I love that vote of confidence right there. It's going to be okay. Hey, dude, I go to the gym in the middle of the day. I can't do it in the morning. I can't do it in the evening.
Right. So if all you do, and I struggle with the guilt of taking a Tuesday off when my girls are at school, my wife's working, and I'm at home not working, there's a guilt that you feel for that. You should be working. But when they come home after school or work, they're done, and I pick up working again, and then weekends I'm working, and all of a sudden I'm working every day.
There's that guilt again.
Yeah. So what is it, right? We got to give ourselves permission to have some time off so we're not burning out, but also give yourself permission to work when you said you're going to work.
Right? So what would you say? What would you say to anybody that says it's impossible to schedule their days when in real estate?
Well, I'm here to tell you, you can, and it's going to be okay.
That's simple.
Why can't you schedule things? Like we're reactive. I get it. Houses come on the market in a hot market and you got to drop things and go. I get that. That's a part of being a realtor. We all have to agree that that's just the shitty thing sometimes we have to do, right? That's okay because we get to go see a house. Yeah. We don't have to. We got to get to go to do that, right? So if you take control of this and treat it like a business, you don't have to tell somebody you're not available Tuesday from 6 till 7 because you're going to your kid's soccer game. I'm not available because I have another appointment, right? And that's okay, because what are you doing this career for if you can't enjoy yourself, right? If you are only working, what's the point? Back up and ask yourself why you became a realtor in the first place, right? Let's get back to what that definition of success looked like for you. And if it is to just achieve $500,000 a year and that's all I'm ever going to do and I'm happy with that, well, that's cool. That's fine. Just go drop everything and say yes to everything you want. That's fine. But if you want to have a bit more balance in your life, then it's okay to say, no, I can't help you here, but I can here and here.
Yeah.
Right. There's constantly people saying I can't make it to class because I have a home inspection booked. And I'm always saying, well, how the heck can I make it to class if you can't?
Right. But that's what I meant earlier about even the people showing up late to hockey or whatever. Like,
how can
you got commitments, figure out how to plan accordingly.
So could you not control that scenario and offer to help book a home inspection for your clients and make sure you book around their calendar and yours to set everybody up for success?
Totally.
Because we don't want to cancel one appointment for another ever. So why do we just give our calendar over to somebody else and say pick? Where they don't expect that, right?
No.
There is this piece of, well, here's when I'm available. This podcast is a great example. I didn't get to pick the date and time when I felt like it. We had to work together and figure out a time that worked for both of us to set us both up for success, right?
Yep.
So here's, even to add to that, we're doing this podcast. My daughter's been in a swimming course all week, and I was supposed to pick her up at 1 today, which is 3 for your time. And what are my choices? I cancel on you for something that we've had planned for a long time, or do I get help? So my wife's out of town. My mother-in-law, thankfully, is very engaged with our kids. I asked her if she would go pick her up, and she happily did it because she loves to.
Well, we appreciate you doing that, man.
Well, I didn't say it for any other reason.
No, it's listen, it's the inside. Like last week's episode, we talked about freedom and flexibility, right? And why people got into the business and how to truly achieve it. I gave everybody 10 different considerations that they got to go through to kind of look at that and go, how do I do it? And again, you just talk to that, in fact, the entire episode we've done that. It's been, fantastic insights, even keel, nothing over the top, very simple, logical. And I believe that anybody here would be going, so it's that simple.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it'll be okay. And I agree. Yeah, it is that simple.
Yeah. I'm no different than anybody else, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Like whatever I've said this episode, nobody has to do what I said or what you said. We've got these things that we've figured out how to do over time to be successful at it. And hopefully someone can take something away from that and use some of it, right? Try it. I joke all the time, put your phone down, go for a walk with your dog for 20 minutes and leave your phone at home. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Baby step into your phone, right? Like it's going to be okay, man. Leave your phone.
I love the simplicity of that. Now, let me ask you something. And you've really answered this multiple times already, but it is one of the, the big questions I love to ask at the end of the show all the time. You've done your day. You finished up your day. Everything's done. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
I've completed my tasks, right? So if I know what the tasks are to complete to be successful over the past 19 years, then I got to trust the process that my past performance dictates my future behavior, that's going to work. You got to trust the process. And if it's not working,
so key, man.
Tweak it though, right? Like our business plans aren't written in stone on a script or a scroll. So if you're finding something you're doing isn't working so well, tweak it a little bit or change it up, try something else, right? But figure out something that is working and then continue doing that. If you enjoy doing that task, right? I could be very good at door knocking, but if I hate doing it, should I do it? Right? I'd rather generate business another way that I enjoy, that I'm good at, right? Because if we're going to do this business, we better do it in a way that we enjoy ourselves. Otherwise, why are we doing it?
Why are we doing it? It's great. It's a great question. And although it's a great way to end it, before I do, I think it's prudent to say that, we've been talking today about mastering work-life balance without sacrificing income. And I figured just before we sign off, are there any other words of wisdom that you want to share with everybody? Maybe it's some parting thoughts from what we talked about today and just really the mindset that you carry to the business, which I got a ton of appreciation and respect for you and what you've done, our friendship, what you've done with your business, what you've built for yourself, your family, and I love, again, the even keeled approach to what you got. And you're definitely proof that when you have a plan, when you've got a cool collected mind, you believe that you're out there to help others and that you do put family first, good things happen, man. Good things happen.
Help me help you, right?
That's it, dude. There it is, right? So just any final words of wisdom you want to share, just mention anybody or?
Well, like for anybody listening, like you need to sit down and write down what your definition of success is. And please stop comparing yourself to everybody else on social media. If you're going to look at what other people are doing, that's fine, but cheer them on. Don't compare yourself in a negative way where, how come they did this and I didn't? Cheer them on, ask them some questions. You want to be like them, go talk to them. But what is your definition of success? And once you figure that out, you can build this around that.
Right? So good, man.
Yeah.
Buddy, Todd, thank you,
Great.
brother. This has been deep. It's been actionable. It's been fantastic conversation today, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us on the podcast.
My pleasure, man. It's great to see your face finally since it's been a while.
Absolutely, brother. All these white hairs we both got, eh?
Yeah.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you very shortly. Thank you again.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
You bet, bro. You are either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com, and while you are there, download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare and earn more market share. Of course, for all inquiries, just get in touch with myself, my team. Do it today. Don't forget to leave a review of this podcast at www.ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. As always, a big 5 stars, some nice little reviews about how much you love the content, the guests, and the show itself. Also, please don't forget, pledge me as a rider for the ORCF's Motorcycle Ride for Charity as we look to raise awareness and money for shelter-related causes. Please go to www.realtorscareontario.ca, find my name, David Greenspan, and click to donate. Like I keep saying, big or small, anything you do to help, it truly, truly does mean a lot. If we haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook and on TikTok at MindShare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan101. Just before we sign off, I need to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Kids Keep in Touch System, REM Magazine, and the ORCF Ontario Realtors Care Foundation. This has been another episode of the MindShare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.